Welcome to HITC Sport. If you're a Tottenham fan, click off this video now. Go on, Spurs fans, close the laptop and spend the next 10 minutes violently chewing your hand. Because this video is not going to be fun. Actually, it's going to be so depressing that by the time I'm done, you'll probably feel like taking a shower in 3 liters of camel piss. Anything to cleanse you of the reality of what your club has turned into. Let me just make this perfectly clear. This isn't 10 minutes of me rejoicing in Tottenham Football Club falling apart like Conor McGregor's leg. No, this isn't. I'm annoyed for you because the way your club has been run is borderline criminal. For weeks, you've all probably been sticking your face in the sand, just distracting yourself by screaming, "It's coming home!" until you're blue in the face. Good Christ, Spurs fans cheering on Harry Kane this summer. It's been like discovering your wife's secret Tinder page and then continuing to buy her flowers. No. Move out. Clearly the man wants nothing to do with Tottenham anymore. He's 27 years of age and a world-class talisman. He wants to win the Champions League, not wasting his life playing in something called the Europa Conference League. I'm sorry, if a football competition has the word conference in it, then clearly the overall standard is just a big plate of donkey placenta. I mean, Christ love, does Kane really want to spend next May playing the final on a farm in Albania? 5 minutes, trying to have many subscribers as soon as possible if you enjoyed the video. So if you agree with me, smack that big fat red button. Anyway, let's get back into the video. But Tottenham being a mess, it's not just for the fact that Kane now looks at his boyhood club the same way Zach Galifianakis looks at a salad. No, I'm going to tell you why Tottenham are a complete and utter mess. Alright. 3 years ago, Dele Alli was a £100 million rated playmaker. One of the first names on England's team sheet. He was 2018's answer to Mason Mount. Except no, even better. No, he's not a Champions League winner. But I'm sorry, at just 20 years of age, this guy was scoring 20 goals a season for Tottenham. Back in 2017, Gareth Southgate was answering questions on whether or not he was world class. Then again, it's the same Southgate who called Phil Jones England's best defender. But lads, it's easy to forget now that Ali's career is stuck down a well. To the newer fans, yeah, this guy just looks like a Love Island reject with biceps skinnier than an unsharpened pencil, right? To put it in context, how badly Ali is being mismanaged, lads, Jose Mourinho coached Steve Sidwell for just 1 month at Chelsea. And still, he used this guy. A guy who looks like he runs a Lexpo in his spare time. He used this guy. A damp cauliflower of a midfielder. He used him more in a month than he did Ali all of last season. But lads, let me refresh your memory. 4 years ago, these were actual headlines, which made sense.
Tottenham Hotspur star Dele Alli disappointed not to get a hat-trick in an impressive win over Real Madrid.
Disappointed not to get a hat-trick against the biggest club on planet Earth. That was Dele Alli.
Tottenham ace Dele Alli targeted by Barcelona after they cashed in on Neymar.
Yeah, you pocketed a €200 million check for a Ballon d'Or contender, but back then, in 2017, this headline made sense. You could understand why Barca would have wanted him.
Why Man City manager Pep Guardiola pulled out a Dele Alli pursuit.
Yeah, 4 years ago, Dele Alli was a realistic transfer target for a club with a bigger bank account than a small island. Guardiola was trying to imagine how he could put him and Kevin De Bruyne in the same midfield. But now, in 2021, not only has he stuffed his England ambitions in a bin, but he single-handedly buried that potential big money move to the Etihad in the shallowest grave he could find by sniffing around Guardiola's daughter. Ali, if you had played your cards right, your next upgrade after Tottenham would have been Man City. You'd have probably gone with Harry Kane in a monster deal. You could have gone to Man City. You could have won the league. Good Christ, they're currently wanting to buy Jack Grealish, offering him a £300,000 pay packet to spend on hair gel and child-sized shin guards. Ali, that could have been you. You could have been richer than Muhammad Ali. I mean, what is this? I mean, what happened, Ali? We saw in the Tottenham documentary, Mourinho sat down with Ali and he told him to stop coasting on his fat wages and to put that work in. People complain about Jose like, oh, he's too mean to his players. Too mean. This conversation could have potentially earned Ali a Euros 2020 medal if he had listened. Who knows, instead of spending the season sulking, surely Ali could have just stuck in the graft, earned his England spot and maybe scored the winner in the final. And good Christ, there is no excuses for you not making this squad. 4 years ago, when Ali was England's 20-goal-a-season golden boy, the likes of Mason Mount was playing for Vitesse Arnhem, both Jadon Sancho and Phil Foden were trapped in Man City's reserves, and Jack Grealish was stuck 13th in the championship. Good Christ, Bukayo Saka was a 15-year-old schoolboy. Even James Maddison is above you in the pecking order now, and back in 2017, he had just swapped Coventry for Norwich. Just like Conor McGregor allowing half the UFC to overtake him, including a man he nearly put to sleep in 2014, Ali has just let all of these former championship and reserve team playmakers overtake him with ease. And for Tottenham, it is a disaster. This is worse than the Kane situation, because at least then you might pocket a £100 million record fee. But Ali, nobody wants him. He was clearly available all of last season, and all you were offered was a half-hearted loan deal from PSG. The Spanish giants aren't sniffing around him anymore, and good grace, his next move will probably be to replace Grealish at Villa Park. Lads, if he leaves, he's going to cost less than Emi Buendia. For a guy once nominated for the Golden Boy Awards, that is a financial nightmare, and how have Tottenham allowed this to happen? What else? The obvious one, the manager situation. Now, on the face of it, appointing Nuno Espirito Santo for Tottenham, it sounds about right. The only reason Spurs fans are now treating this as if they've been offered the opportunity to suck their dead granny's toes is because they've been spoiled. Jose Mourinho was the big daddy world-class managerial appointment. But lads, that's not the norm at Tottenham. Before him, it was just a line of mid-table managers. So Nuno Espirito Santo, it's not a disaster. It's about right. Let's be honest, the fact he was even contemplating taking the Crystal Palace job was an insult to the work he'd done at Wolves. Taking a team who just finished 15th of the Championship to promotion, back-to-back 7th place finishes in the Premier League and a Europa League quarter-final. Put some respect on this man's beard. If a pristine English coach like Steven Gerrard or Frank Lampard had achieved that, you'd all be tossing yourself off to their tactics and demanding they be given a Champions League job. So settle down, please. Santo's a good coach. But the reason we should still F at Tottenham for this is because clearly they didn't want Santo. He was 9th choice. Imagine getting your 9th choice candidate for the job. You'd be so underwhelmed you might actually shoot yourself in the face. Imagine getting married to your 9th choice mail order bride. She'd probably be a 57-year-old Persian dinner lady who stinks of armpit sweat and has a jawline resembling a scream mask. Levy thought he was better than Santo. Far better. That's what makes this so ridiculous. Levy is a man who thinks that having a stadium that looks like something out of Space Jam makes you an elite club. Spoilers, it doesn't. The truth is, you haven't won a single piece of silverware since Superbad was in the cinemas. That's a long time ago. Now McLovin probably has 5 kids and a mortgage. When Mourinho was stupidly sacked days before a cup final, Levy probably thought,
Oh no, it's fine. I'll just go and get that German wonderkid Julian Nagelsmann. He's done great at RB Leipzig. Of course he'd want to come to London.
maybe that's why he briefly gave the reins to a virtual child like Ryan Mason, just to get the players used to taking orders from someone younger than them. Good Christ, Harry Kane looks old enough to be his dad. But by the end of April, this guy was unveiled as the Bayern Munich boss. Okay, fine, bit of a punch in the ego for Levy, but it's alright. Moving on to target number 2. Surely Brendan Rodgers will want to upgrade. After all, he walked out on both Swansea and Celtic. Clearly he's got the loyalty of a bowl of mashed potato, right?
Brendan Rodgers says he's 200% staying at Leicester when asked about Tottenham links after missing out on a top 4 finish.
Right, losing a manager to Bayern Munich is one thing, but a Champions League finalist failing to entice a coach from Leicester City? Alright then, number 3, Antonio Conte. Now don't get me wrong, Conte is a serial winner. If Tottenham had managed to secure this man, it would have been a master stroke. But no, according to Fabrizio Romano, he wanted to bring more than 4 staff members and Tottenham said no. Tottenham said no. I'm sorry, this is Antonio Conte. He's just won Serie A with Ashley Young. If he wants to bring in 16 different tea ladies, then you just gotta let him. He's Antonio Conte. There's nothing this man can say which should make him screw up the deal. Whatever he wants, you give it to him. If he wants Levy to follow him around and wipe his arse in the toilet, then I'm sorry, you better start wiping. Then crawling on your knees and trying to beg Pochettino back from Paris. It was like some sort of bad rom-com movie starring Adam Sandler. And then the next in line, Julian Lopetegui, a man who was football's biggest joke in 2018. Sacked by Spain just days before the World Cup after he'd snaked his way to Real Madrid, and then he was sacked again before Halloween. Imagine telling a Tottenham fan back then that within 3 years they'd have sacked Pochettino only to sniff around this Spanish clown. To be fair, yes, he's rebuilt his career by winning the Europa League with Sevilla, but I'm sorry, doesn't this just remind you of when they got Randy Ramos? A non-English speaking Sevilla coach who's just won the Europa League, arriving in a club with a want-away striker. I mean, you just know how this one was going to turn out. Relegation battle by November. Who else? Paulo Fonseca turned down the job. Last season, Tottenham scored 6 at Old Trafford, and they sacked the man who masterminded that to appoint a guy who'd conceded 6 at Old Trafford. This is a guy Roma fired to make way for Jose Mourinho. Oh, and then when he turned it down, the club started sniffing around Gennaro Gattuso, which was surely proof that they'd lost their brains. Where do you want to start with this one? Okay, are we forgetting 10 years ago, this AC Milan pitbull grabbed Tottenham's assistant coach Joe Jordan by the throat. This is a guy who nearly tried to start a fight with your former employee in the workplace arena, and now you want to give him the senior job in the company? What is this lunacy? It's like me walking into Costa Coffee tomorrow, punching a barista in the face, and then within 10 years I'm head of the company. It makes no sense. Not to mention, this guy has left 7 different jobs since 2013. He was hired as boss of Fiorentina on the 25th of May this year, some 50 days after Mourinho had been sacked, and yet 2 weeks later he had quit the club. Hiring Gattuso would have been like a woman marrying someone who's just cheated on his last 7 wives.
Oh, I can change him. Maybe this one will be different.
No, look forward to him getting the babysitter pregnant by Halloween. This unstable, emotionally belligerent, argumentative explosion of a manager. That's who Levy wanted in his dugout. It's official. He'd temporarily gone insane. But there is more. Gareth Bale was arguably Tottenham's second best player in the second half of last season. They talk about it being an underwhelming London return. Was it? Because he scored 16 goals, including his first Premier League hat-trick since 2012. And yet Spurs, they haven't even tried to keep him, just allowing him to half-heartedly trudge back to Madrid, a city which is just finished with all things Gareth Bale. This is a guy who Harry Redknapp used to keep on his bench, a guy who he nearly sold to Birmingham, and now you know you can't even sign him now. Gareth Bale is so disillusioned with Spain that the tabloids are actually hinting he's going to retire next year, and you still can't convince him to come? If Spurs were moving like a big club, they would be able to convince him to sign a permanent deal, but they can't. And finally, how are they going to plan for Kane's exit? Spurs fans will be wanting a master plan, right? No, you've made contact with Danny Ings. Now, an injury-prone striker who turns 30 next summer. Don't get me wrong, he's a good finisher, but it's a bit like when you replaced a world star like Dimitar Berbatov with Darren Bent. Replacing Kane with Ings, Tottenham fans must be close to pulling chunks of enamel off their teeth. And the latest news, Sevilla starlet centre-half Julius Koundé has just rejected Tottenham because he wants to play in the Champions League. Tottenham right now are a complete and utter mess. Watch next season when Pochettino wins the league with PSG and Mourinho wins Serie A with Roma, while you've since sacked Santo and replaced him with Graham Potter. Honestly, Spurs, things look bleak. Anyway, that's it, fellas. Let me know in the comments below what do you think. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.